Tim Leffel here, author of A Better Life for Half the Price, the best-selling book on living abroad. I live abroad. This is my house in Mexico. And I've flown on Volaris a lot during that time. They even gave me this t-shirt once because I was on the very first flight between the León, Guanajuato airport and Los Cabos. I've done that route a few times since. But what I wanted to talk about today was the Volaris Annual Pass. Is it worth it? Should you buy it? Well, it depends. I tried it out for a year living here in Mexico. So did my wife. And we had kind of different experiences, mostly because I went down to Guatemala and Costa Rica with it, in addition to a few flights in Mexico. She basically only used it for domestic flights. She tried to use it a couple times and couldn't. Same happened to me. I tried to use it a few times and couldn't. So I'll get into that in a sec. But in the end, it depends a lot on how often you're going to be able to fly, how spontaneous you can be, and how much luggage you're packing, or preferably not packing, because you're going to pay a lot more for luggage if you have this annual pass. Okay, what's the deal with this Volaris Annual Pass? Well, in short, it allows you to fly as much as you want on Volaris for $500. I got it for a better deal. I got it for $350 when they first introduced it. And my friend Laura Pope, who's a blogger who runs the site Explore with Laura, got it for even less. So for her, it was a no-brainer. For me, better. At $500, it's tougher. Because the way it works in theory is you can fly on any of their routes. You can go all around Mexico to the U.S., to Central and South America. They fly all the way to Peru. You do have to pay the taxes. That's this little stuff about the TUA here. They don't show the taxes in the initial fare, and you're going to have to pay that no matter what, just like you would for any flight. There's an explainer video there if you want to check it out, but basically here's the price. And now there's a lot of restrictions. Here's all the restrictions. And the main one that made me not want to renew this again this year is you have to use this special portal of theirs to book a flight. And so when this pops up, you have to sign in and then you go to that portal. It's no big deal, but the problem with this is not only is it restricted on the number of flights you can fly on, but also you're going to pay a lot more for luggage. And the reason is you can't take advantage of that deal where you normally would, where you can buy luggage at the reduced price. Instead, you have to pay the full price. So I did a whole video on that, on how I flew on Volaris with no luggage fees. I basically went from Mexico to Costa Rica to Guatemala, and then Guatemala back to Mexico with just this bag. I brought along this little expandable duffel bag. It was in my bag here in one of these side pockets, and then when I got to the other end, I basically opened it up and stuffed all my luggage in there. So then this bag just had my laptop. I did not take a camera on this trip. I would not have been able to do it with a camera. I just used my phone for everything. Not ideal, but good enough since I didn't have to zoom in on anything or do any kind of special work that I would do with my camera. So if you want to check that out, go there. The bottom line is, I did not fly on Volaris as much as I expected to with this annual pass. I hoped to do a lot more because if you go to the Volaris site and look at how many flights they have, if you are in Mexico, you can get pretty much almost anywhere in the country with Volaris. This is from Mexico City, but you can just see here all these places you can fly to. Look. Albany, come on, Atlanta. But a lot of these are direct flights, like the ones to Texas. Some of these are code shares, but you can get to a lot of places in the U.S. Chicago is direct. You can get to the West Coast, 3 or 4 different locations, Dallas, Denver. So you could fly to a lot of places in the U.S. with this. And then, like I said, I went to Guatemala. You can go to Houston, and then lots of beach destinations, Las Vegas. This is my airport, León, so I can fly direct to Los Cabos, to Puerto Vallarta, to lots of places. And I just wanted to show you here, Lima. You could go from Chicago all the way to Lima with this pass, in theory. The problem is the number of flights you see on here are not the number of flights you will see when you're using this annual pass. So you might look at this and go, oh wow, there's so many destinations. But in reality, several times I tried to fly to Cancun and from my airport in Leon, and I could not get the flight I wanted. But this will show you how much you could save though, potentially. Like, these are the US dollar prices, so it doesn't take a lot of flights to add up to $500. So if you're going to be in Mexico and you can be flexible and you can go on short notice, then it could be worth it. Just be advised that it definitely is short notice. You can only book 1 day ahead for domestic flights and 3 days ahead for international ones. So you have to be flexible. If you are flexible, it can be a deal. So check it out, the Volaris Annual Pass, and see if it's right for you. Now, I did a whole long post on this called "Is the Volaris Pass Worth It?" And I just want to pull up one picture here for you to see what those luggage charges were actually like. This is what I would have had to pay on one flight, and this was just one leg of 3. So they wanted $79 for a carry-on bag or $90 for a checked bag. And if I'd gotten a carry-on when it was just when I made the flight reservation like a normal customer, it would have been $20. So that's a massive difference, basically 4 times as much for a carry-on, which is insane. They don't even have to touch it. So basically I flew like this instead with this under seat bag here, and that was much better. So I paid nothing and I got like $200 less in charges. No, I don't have the pass anymore, but I'm still flying on Volaris.